Right. Okay, right. Well, it looks like we've got quite a small, cosy group at the moment. I think there might be a few other people turning up. I thought that Rue was coming.
She is coming. I was just trying to send her the link because she couldn't find it, so I'll just send it on.
We'll hold off for just a second then.
I just went in via Facebook.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
it's the only place where it is.
That.
Yes, Rue's kind of the Facebook queen because she used to keep talking to me on Facebook, and it, you know, 2 days later I might look at it and go, "Oh, sorry, Rue." She's learnt now. She wants to talk to me. She either sends me a text or she has to send me an email.
Okay.
The quickest way is for you to email me on the support, because I check that so often during the week, during the day.
Okay. Right, I guess we may as well kick off and just Rue will catch up, I guess. Hi, Claire.
Claire's still on the land.
She's still with us. I do like these glasses. They're very nice, very sophisticated.
What? Who, me?
Yeah, very sophisticated. I only put mine on to look intelligent. No, I do need them.
It's Bryony's glasses that are kind of real.
Oh, they're amazing.
She has some really good ones.
Shall we make a start? I mean, if anybody else is going to join us, we'll just add them as they come. So really, I mean, the main reason for this evening was for those of you that are starting to go through the modules and, you know, maybe looking for a bit of guidance on some of the things that you might be doing, not necessarily specific questions, but there might be, you know, might be specific questions you're stuck on, or even just how to approach them. You know, some of you might be at that point where you haven't really got to that stage yet. So nothing's too, you know, trivial to ask, if you like. So, you know, just do ask questions. And we've got Celia here who has finished the modules, and Barbara, you've finished the modules as well, haven't you? So, so both joining us for the practice aspect, really, and because you've actually done the sort of the theory side, if you like.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so anybody want to start off? Oh, here's Rue. There we go. Let's let Rue in as well. Rue's also finished the modules, so can give you some, hopefully some helpful feedback there.
Probably give you the answers. Oh, did I really say that out loud?
For a small fee, yeah.
You have to find your own answers.
Oh, if this is being recorded and Andrew should watch this, I was only kidding.
Celia, how much?
Oh, we can negotiate later, I'm sure.
You're not allowed to pay them to do your essays or anything.
You wouldn't want to.
Should I be pausing the recording at this point?
Okay, so does anybody want to kick off with a question to begin with?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's just about the been so long since I've been at uni, and like things have changed, and you know, we didn't have computers and all the rest of it when I was doing my stuff. So I don't really know how you're supposed to do a bibliography. Like if I use something, you know, it's obviously not from a textbook, it's from a article or something on the internet. How do you do that? Well, I don't know how to, like, for example, for our PMR, do we have to reference that sort of thing?
You do need to have a list of references. I'm wondering if that might be something that I should do as a separate issue with people, actually. I mean, it's not complicated, and there are places that you can go to find out exactly how to do that. But I wouldn't have thought it would be that much different from what you did when you were at university yourself. It's just, obviously, it's a little bit different because a lot of your sources will be online. Hopefully there's some books in there as well. But yeah, there is a specific way to do it there, and that there are sort of sites that you can go to like Cite Me, where it'll actually just show you exactly what to do.
Oh right, okay. So what's that? Is that SIT?
Cite Me. It's actually CIT.
Oh right, okay.
These are things that the universities use.
Oh right, okay.
But they could actually do that. But if anybody was struggling with that and wanted some help on that, I could do a little quick session on referencing.
But at the level we're working at, you don't need to do it as you would do for a university paper. if you just quote the web page in brackets, that
Yeah.
that will suffice for this course.
Well, I mean, I don't know if is that definite for that, because I know that I said,
Yeah, well, I can
then-
show you mine if you want. I
Yeah,
can,
My
all
background's
I've done is put in brackets the website.
you normally need to give a date when it was accessed as well, because if
Yeah,
you
but
if you don't
Not,
do that,
not,
that could be-
not the level we're doing.
No,
not the level
it's-
we're doing work here.
no,
I mean, if you're doing a professional paper, an MA, a PhD, then yes, you've got to get it right. For this Andrew's course, all you just need to do is put in brackets the website page you got the information from, and that's fine.
Okay, but like, would we have to do that for everything, you know?
you need to keep a note of your sources,
Yeah,
where the
okay.
information's coming from. So if you're making a quotation that's a direct quotation from somebody else, you do need to say where that's coming from.
Mm,
Oh yeah, but
So
yeah, you don't have to get it spot on perfect like PhD
Okay.
MA level.
I mean, there's an option if you want to do that. If anybody wants to know how to do that, I'm happy to help people with that.
Okay.
But like as Heather's saying, if that's the case, I think I just did it automatically when I did mine, because that's
Your training.
that's my training. So I would
That's
know
your training. So that's fine. If that's your training, that's fine. If it's not your training, then yeah, just if you're quoting a book, just the name of the book, who it's by, maybe the page number. If you're getting it off the website, just put the website address in brackets,
okay,
and that's fine.
okay.
Can I ask a question then? If you're not making a specific quote, you just do your essay, and then at the bottom you should write the list of books or
yeah, the
web
one that you
pages.
refer to.
You don't, you
Yeah,
don't
I
have
mean-
to actually reference in your essay like you would a proper research paper, you know, at each
It
point.
seems not. I think it is, as I said,
That's a
from
bit over the top, isn't it?
yeah, from my
Yeah.
point of view, I did, because that would be my training.
Yeah.
So, but
Personally, I didn't include a bibliography in anything.
It's just they're essays, aren't they?
Yeah, all he wants to.
they're not
all Andrew-
really essays. I wouldn't
They're
say
not,
they're,
because
they're
no.
structured
you're
questions.
answering
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
all
Actually-
Andrew wants to know. All Andrew wants to know is how do you put it in your words? What he's asking.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a university piece. It's not an academic piece of work. He just wants to know, what have you picked up and how do you apply it to his questions?
And do you understand, have you got good understanding of,
Yes, that's what
yeah,
he's,
that's what I,
that's what he's looking for. He's not looking for any academic pieces of work here.
yeah, okay, then that's a relief.
I mean, if your background is academia, fine, but that's not what this course requires of you.
Mm,
So if you're just used to, well, I think my answer would be, and I've read this bit, and just keep it as simple as possible.
I don't
Okay.
think I printed mine out. I'm sorry, I can't show it you. I can't find it.
What was it? What was it that you printed out, Ruth?
just going to show the
Oh,
bibliography.
no, I don't think I've got my bibliography printed out. I will have just sent it off to Yvette as an email. I don't think I printed out my bibliography. Every time I read a book, I just shoved it on a list though.
And
You know, I
yes,
just
and
I had
then,
a Word document in the background, and then if I
Yeah.
read a book
Oh,
or I
that's a
bought a
good
book,
idea.
or I looked,
Yeah.
and
That's
then and that's what I did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a perfect PhD level anything. It was just literally a list of books, and then some of the stuff I'd looked up online.
yeah,
Yeah.
Probably not all of it. Probably not all of it, because I probably wasn't organised enough to put everything in.
That is a good strategy, though. I think with what Ruth's saying there, keep a note of what you're referring to. as you
Okay.
go.
We bought quite a lot of books between us. I think we just kept, we did buy bits and pieces, so we had quite a few books to stick up there. But yeah,
I would say when you're getting your information, I mean, obviously you're getting a lot of stuff from Andrew, but if you are looking at just online, I mean, I think it's good if you can be reading as well, but be careful of where those sources are coming from. Wikipedia is not great, for example. So I would say on that side, just be careful where that's coming from, because sometimes you will be just getting that from another hypnotherapist website, perhaps. So yeah, just to show where that's coming from, really, just in case it does conflict in any ways. Does that help, Jess? Does that give you?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just taking the pressure off, because I was just like, I was just kind of thinking, like, I know when I was doing my dissertation, it was like you put, you know, whatever the number and
Yeah.
all the rest, page number and
No,
everything,
you don't
but
have
because
to
it
do
was
They-
because I was looking
Not
at a lot of
that.
stuff online, like about that history of hypnosis and stuff. You know, it
It's
was
very-
different.
It's about showing where you've got your sources from. So, I mean, if you think about it online, you just need to be able to put enough information that they could find where you got that information from.
Yeah,
If you-
yeah.
The chances are they're not going to, but that's
Mm.
what they're really doing. So it's nothing to worry about. But I mean, if anybody does know how to reference in the academic way, I don't think that's a problem either. It certainly wasn't for me. So if you're comfortable with that, that's fine, but it's not going to disadvantage you as long as you have shown your understanding of you know what you've actually done within the module through practice and through your answers to the questions. So, and the practice will help you answer those questions obviously as well. Okay, any other questions?
I have 3.
Okay, that's good.
The first one on module 3,
Yeah,
and the second question is on about inhibitors. And
it's about
looking
what?
at, sorry,
I didn't catch what that was. It was about what, sorry?
looking at inhibitors, what, you know, the when hypnosis or hypnotherapy shouldn't be used on people, like, for example, under the influence of drugs and alcohol and things.
Right, so
And
contradiction, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I know Andrew's list is a lot smaller than the generic list because he's, you know, obviously dealt with people with those conditions.
Yeah.
When I'm answering the question, should I be referring to Andrew's experience or the generic experience that's out there?
I think you can put both sides, but really it's Andrew's experience that you're being trained in here. What I would suggest is watch the actual module, the training video on that, so that you'll get an idea from that what we will be saying. But really, you might want to give both sides. That obviously there's different schools of thought on this, but you can back up why from that, why we take that approach.
All right, so it'd be more going from Andrew's experience of who can have hypnotherapy and hypnosis. And
yeah, but I would suggest before you answer that module, watch that particular module, the training video for that, and that will give you some indication of why more. I know it's in the notes, but there might be questions that other people might have asked at the time, which might help you there as well.
Okay.
So it's a balanced answer, really.
The other one was with the practice sessions that I've been observing. I know that, I think it was Heather mentioned the practice sessions can count towards the hours within the course. If you're observing, does that count?
Yes, it does.
It does count.
Absolutely.
Okay, final one.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh my God, it's just completely gone out of my head now. Oh, the reflective learning journal. Do we have to stick to the template, or can you just, write it down like in a book and then transfer it to the template at the end of the course?
As long as it's on a template form when you send it to Yvette at the end of the course, that's fine. How you record it as you go along is up to you, but it needs to be in that template form so that Yvette can look at it.
Right.
I would suggest you stick it in a template form as soon as you've done the exercises and practice you've done. Otherwise, you will have too much to do at the end.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
In my experience, it would have been just too much.
Right.
And it makes you be really succinct about what you've done as well, because she doesn't want to read 3 hours worth of transcription of what you've done. It's more like, I saw this person, we did this, these were some of the things that I did, and this is what I think about what I did. It's because she's going to read hundreds of these things, so
yeah. Then
it's a sort of précis, really, I think, of what you've done.
Are you kind of concentrating on, what went well, what could have gone better, what you've learnt?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Yeah.
I mean, there is actually, it's not actually in the course notes, but there's something that you could look up, which is called Gibbs Learning Cycle, which just basically tells you what you're looking for to reflect effectively.
Right.
So it's Gibbs model of reflection, I think it is. It's not complicated. It's literally something like 5 points, but it's almost like what I did, you know, what I learned from that, what I might do different next time. You know, that might just help you to reflect a little bit more deeply on what you've actually got from that.
Right, okay.
But
All
you
right, well, thank
you.
certainly need to know what you've done as soon as you've write it down as soon as you've done it, because I've had people who were training with me, got to the end of the course and go, who was I practicing with? Was I practicing with you? What did we do? I can't remember. What module were we on? And I'd had it fairly detailed, so I could tell them when they actually worked with me, but because they were doing it right at the end, they had got no clue. So the sooner you write it down, the better for you, because you won't remember all these practice sessions.
And you can't say what you learnt then either, can you?
No, you can't. You sort of just making it up for the sake of making it up at the end.
Yeah,
you're relying on everybody else to tell you what you did with them.
Yeah, I think mine could be a bit backwards because I'm obviously observing module 7 at the moment, and then I'm only up to module 3 but I don't suppose that would matter if I'm logging it.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. No, I think I think if you always have in mind that you need to record it at some place, you think about that more when you're actually taking notes within the practice sessions. You know, you can make notes that are going to be helpful for you to remember that. So,
right.
I mean, you don't want to stress about that as well, but just the more notes you make, obviously, the more you've got to refer back to, haven't you?
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Next.
I've got a couple.
Okay.
The first one was just from other people, really. Roughly how long has it taken people to do the coursework module? And there are some a lot longer than others.
Varies so much. Some people might actually do it over a year because they'll do all of this and they'll do it over a much long period of time. Some people will be doing it as they go. You know, I know certainly when I did my training, there were a few people that had finished the coursework as we finished, but most people hadn't. So, you know, it really, there is no pressure on you to do it at everybody else's pace.
But then we can't start practicing, can we, until we've got the...
No, you do need both. Yeah, you need the hours and you need all the modules complete before you can actually practice. I mean, you can do student practice, obviously, but it really does vary. I don't know how long did you take over yours, Heather?
Well, I did the 4 days a month, so I did 4 modules in 1 week, and then I took a week to do the coursework for each of those modules, so that by the time I started the next 4-day session, I'd done it. So I just wrote up a week a module, just thinking about it and doing it.
I mean, I mean, as I say, there is no pressure for you to have to do it that way. I mean, I did mine very quickly as well, but I was very much on a set plan. I'd taken severance from my previous job. I knew what I was doing. So I literally did pretty much what Heather did, actually. I sort of finished the actual course in the November and I handed in December. But that isn't the way that everybody would do it. And it isn't absolutely necessary for you to do it that way. I don't know, what did, so you got Celia and Barbara and Rue, what did you do for that?
We had a little group, didn't we? We had about 4 or 5 of us in a little group who were all kind of doing the online one. And then I think about 3 of them finished early, and then there was a couple of us left trying to catch up. And that was actually quite a good incentive to, well, they finished, so, you know, I'm going to run after and catch them up. So I was probably another 2 months after everyone else finished. But it was quite nice just taking my time with that bit as well. I didn't feel under pressure, and it was just taking it all in and not rushing it so that it was just sort of doing it for the sake of it. It was quite nice, the process then, actually learning it more thoroughly. So I say don't put pressure on yourself particularly to do it at a certain time. If you just let the information come in, that's a much nicer way of doing it, and hopefully you'll get more from it that way.
Thank you, Celia. That's really helpful, because I've just got so much going on at the moment. I know I'll have more time later on, but at the same time, I'm worried about getting behind. So that's really helpful.
Actually, I mean, you'll find there's some people in the general beginners group, which are not on this course, obviously, that are still doing their coursework, you know, and that's okay. So, you know, it's whatever, the whole point of doing it in this way is that you can choose how, you know, what works for you, because a lot of you have got other commitments, you've got work, you've got children, whatever. It's not so easy necessarily to do it all at once. And so I think that's really good advice, Celia.
Thank you.
And any other questions, Claire?
Yeah, I have another one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about case studies.
Okay.
I wondered if you could just give a little bit more information about them, because I was talking to Barbara about it.
Yeah, that's my question as well.
Our understanding, we weren't sure. We thought that it was either preferable or definite that your case studies should be people you didn't know. And I just wondered if you could clarify that.
Heather, can I hand to you on that?
Yeah.
'Cause
Case study, because the way we've set up the hours to do the practice, your case studies cannot now be anybody who you are studying with in this group.
So not a student, yeah, I understand
Well,
that.
it can be a student on Facebook. It can't be anybody in this evening class.
Oh, so it can be an Andrew Parr student.
So it can be an
doing
Andrew
a
Parr
course.
student. So you can put an advert on Facebook saying, I'm working on my case studies. Would anyone volunteer to do a couple of sessions with me? But it cannot be anybody in the evening class group that you do your case studies on.
Right, okay. Yeah.
That puzzles me, because how can you choose a hypnotherapy course student, whether you know them or not, if you know very well that they're going to be having hypnotherapy with other people in their practice? So how do you know what your hypnotherapy sessions are doing when you know that they're having other sessions as well?
You don't need to go. You don't need to choose somebody from the Andrew Parr practitioners. You can go to anybody. You know, you could put a message. I believe I put a thing on my Facebook in general, and I had people that I kind of knew but didn't know that well that came to me. So, you know, if you're more comfortable with that, because obviously anybody you work with that's an Andrew Parr practitioner kind of knows what you're going to do next, don't they?
Yeah.
So
what about someone you do know who's not a hypnotherapy?
Yeah.
Should it be someone that you don't know, or does it matter if you know them?
It can be someone you do know, as long as it's not like a close friend or relative, where being therapist and client is going to change the dynamics of your relationship. So you don't want a real personal friend to do this on, because it will change those dynamics.
Yeah. But an acquaintance is okay.
But a friend of a friend, or a friend's brother, or a friend's sister.
Or somebody, that you don't know that well would be fine on a general thing. What about a physical thing? I'm thinking of my sister and her back. Reason being, we haven't got to it in the course yet, but Andrew did a session on someone who'd had scoliosis and had really bad back and neck pain, and that just blew me away. And I'd really like to try that as a case study with my sister, but obviously I know my sister quite well, so would that not be advised? I wondered if, because it was physical, if it might be okay.
But then there might be something beneath that. So
yeah, a lot of physical pain has emotions driving it.
Yeah.
It's an emotional pain, really, that the body is processed in a physical way some of the time, because it's easier for you to deal with the physical pain than actually face the fears of going through the emotional pain. So the mind switches it round and gives you a pain that's physical, that is easier for you to think about. That makes sense.
I think probably the answer sounds like it's no, really, on that one. But it doesn't mean...
No, I just thought I'd ask because it was physical, but I take your point. There could very well be an underlying...
Yeah.
That book I recommended this morning, Healing Back Pain, he would say that a lot of that's his experience has been that a lot of back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain is driven by people who won't look at the emotional pain, and that's how the body then switches it and presents it as these physical pains. So
a lot of these,
if you're going to deal with somebody who's got back pain, neck pain, they need to be checked out by a doctor first to see if there's any physiological reason for these pains. But a lot of it is driven by suppressed emotion that you haven't been able to express either through trauma, because of grief, whatever.
I mean, the chances are, I mean, there will be physiological stuff. I mean, people do have pains and things like, you know, particularly things like IBS or whatever. If they have actually got it, it's not in their mind, it's just their mind that's created that sort of thing. So it doesn't mean you can't help them. But I think in the case of your sister, maybe not a good idea for a case study.
I was just blown away by that treatment. I can't remember the woman's name, but do you know the one that I mean? It's a video on.
I've seen quite a few. I'm not sure which one that is, but we will come to that. So, yeah, that actual technique.
That was the second part of my question. When do you recommend that we start thinking about case studies?
What do you think, Heather? I mean, I think if the opportunity arises, I mean, you obviously want to give your case studies your best shot, don't you? Really, where you've got more and more tools, if you like. So it's probably not a bad idea to wait a little bit longer, I would have thought, until you've got more tools, because you've then got choices.
Yes.
So you can, you know, give a fuller sort of account of what actually happens. But you could start thinking about who those people might be.
Or do volunteer sessions with loads of people, write each one up as a potential case study.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the end, then you can choose which ones you're going to hand in. I did a lot more volunteer sessions with Facebook students, and I had more of those than I actually had to hand in at the end.
Now, that was my question, because I've just kind of started a case study, but he's also a study buddy. He's from Andrew Parr's group, but not this group. And I think he would be good as a case study, but can I then decide later?
Yeah. If you do volunteer sessions with people, write it up as a potential case study. And then when you get to the end and you have to hand in 4 people with at least 2 sessions each, then you've got quite a few you can decide from.
So is it still that we need to do 4 case studies? Because obviously in online it said we needed to do 4 and hand 2 in as the addresses and everything, so they could bring them up. But did that change?
No, you do 4 people, of which each person needs at least 2 sessions. So
right,
that's at least 8 sessions that you're writing up.
Okay.
And I think actually it's a really good point in Heather saying that if you're writing up lots of anything you do, that's a really good experience for you, reflecting on the success and so on with that session, isn't it? Really helping you to think it through. So I know it's more work, but I think it will be very helpful.
Yeah, I think I ended up with twice the number I needed. It's like because I wrote up every volunteer session I worked with.
Yes, so it's a very useful process in that way.
Which is how I got to know Rue and Celia, because her group, their group was the one that I kind of sent it out, and it was their group that kind of volunteered a lot. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Sorry, Rue.
No, I was just going to answer how I did my modules. I think modules 1 and 15 are the longest, most complicated essays. And so if you start with module 2 or 3 or 4, it will be much easier for you. And that's worth sharing.
That was exactly what I wanted to know. Thank you for that answer.
And they're not all as, I spent loads of time on the history in module 1, and actually they're not all as intensely detailed. And also one of the things Andrew said repeatedly when we were training last year was that you could run a business on modules 1 and 2 alone. So you've got enough skills now to run a business. And I think that was really helpful, because it meant, you know, if you just wanted to do sort of relaxation and light level stuff, you can see people now and write a light level case study up. You know, you've done enough already to do that. I think, you know, he was very much encouraging us just to do what we've done and do it. Like, you know, it's a practical.
I think any time you get a chance to do a volunteer, you know, for whatever, you know, even if Ruth says, like, you know, it's just a relaxation, do it, because the practice is all, as you know, the more you do it, the more it's going to just sink in and it's going to become easier. So,
do we know enough at this moment on module 7 to do someone with IBS, would you say, or is that something?
I would wait a little bit on that, because we will focus on things that will help you more specifically with that. That's not to say you couldn't. That's not to say you couldn't.
It's just, yeah, there's lots of things cropping up, and I keep thinking, shall I have a go now, or shall I wait and see if it's covered in the course later?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it will be covered in the course later, specifically, but there's no reason for you not to follow the feeling.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's specific techniques we go into on smoking, weight loss, IBS and stuff like that, and pain. But you've already got enough to do something.
Well, I've watched the videos on anything that I thought I might want to do, and it's really, really interesting, but I am aware that there's a lot of theory behind that as well.
Yeah, so if you do as Rue said, just follow the feeling, find out what their do wants, what their don't wants. And if at the end you wanted to just do a guided visualization, just imagine a river flowing clear, that would help the IBS bit, because that's really what you want your digestive system to be. Just imagine a river free flowing, no blockages, no, just do that as a kind of guided suggestion at the end.
Okay.
And actually, bear in mind that, you know, again, like we said, that you're not necessarily always going to solve everything in one session anyway. So it might be you make a really good start to get to some of the stuff you really need to. And then by the time we get to some of that, you'll have more tools that will help you further. So, yeah, don't underestimate what you already know.
It's just because the modules are kind of blocked off so that we don't run ahead of ourselves. Which is exactly what I would be doing, isn't it? I can't tell when we're actually going to cover it.
Not too far. You won't be too far away.
12.
Brilliant.
Okay.
I can give them a date then. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Any other questions?
So what was that? GIBS model of reflection, yeah?
Gibbs, yeah, GIBS. Gibbs model of reflection. It's just you don't have to quote it particularly, but just what it tells you to do, it just helps for really good reflection. So just it's a little bit deeper. It really shows what you've learned and how you might do things differently and so on. So it's just a good one to look at, just to help you reflect, really. Okay. Any more questions?
No.
Well, that's good.
Also, just to say, when you hand it in to Yvette, she does give you feedback on every question and sort of tells you whether it's excellent, good, or adding a bit more in, and she'll help you know what to add in. So you can't fail.
No.
I think, and the quicker you send something off to her, the sooner you realise the process is actually really efficient.
She's very quick on coming back as well.
And it's really, so you just think, oh, that was easy. Oh, I've done it. Oh, next one. And that's really a helpful thing to sort of get the momentum going, I think.
And also, if there's something missing and she does ask you to add something in, don't think of that as something you've done wrong. It's just helping you to fill in the gaps, really, isn't it? Yeah. I've just noticed we've lost Sarah. Have we lost Sarah?
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you have got something missing or you get it slightly wrong, she'll word it in such a way that she'll give you the answer. So all you've got to do is put that in your own words and send it back into her, and just that bit, and she goes,
yes, so you could do it really badly and she'll do it for
pressure.
you.
No, you can't.
No pressure
Easy,
at all.
straightforward, yeah. It's not like university, definitely not.
No, she's lovely.
So if you went totally over the top, maybe because you had studied at degree level or whatever, would she actually tell you that? Because
no, she just takes everything as is.
Yeah.
It's just not knowing what level really to pitch it at, if you know what I mean.
I think pitch it at the level that feels right for you, that shows your understanding. Because, as I said, I probably would have approached it more like that, because that's my background, and that wasn't a problem either. You know, but there were plenty of other people that didn't do that, and it wasn't, you know, the main thing is do you understand what we're doing? Are you able to use that in practice? Do you know why you're doing it? And communicating that really as thoroughly as you can.
So this is, I don't know if you can see this, this is one of my feedback sheets from Yvette. This is module 7. And so there's the question and there's her comment in a different colour. Can you see? And that's what you get back. So it comes in as an email. I've just printed some of them out. And then at the end, there's a box that says, you know, overall, how was it?
You're not graded, so she doesn't grade you.
No.
Is that helpful to see? I just, it's sort of
We don't get A pluses and B minuses.
No, not at all. No.
yeah, and I'd obviously missed on this one. I'd obviously missed out 2 questions because she said I can't find the answers to question 4, B, and C, and I haven't done them. So she just said, you know, they seem to be missing. So I went back and thought, oh yeah. So you know,
He wants to see how you think, not how someone else thinks, how you think. So just be you.
Just
That's
confirm your understanding really of the question,
Yeah.
and how it works and how you put it into practice, because at the end of the day you're going to be a practitioner, so that's what's important. So
I'm sure once I get started, I'll be fine.
you'll be fine.
I think it's really important to get started and just send one off and see what happens.
Mm.
And I wouldn't do that with, and module 1 we work on all the way through and do one of the later ones first, just because they're a little bit.
I wouldn't advise you to jump about like that, to be honest. I think try and do it in the order if you can, because I think you could, you know, it's put together in a certain order for a reason.
We're all different. I just think module 1's just got loads of history, and see, I spent so long on module 1, and then realised that I didn't necessarily have to do that for the others. So you can get stuck on module 1 and then not actually move off it.
I understand what you're saying, Rue, but actually that gives you a foundation of understanding as well. So I think it's just, as I said, if I wouldn't advise thinking around modules really. I'd try and say, if you can, do it in the order that they are as much as possible. But I know what you're saying. It's a good thing to know that they're not all as intense. And actually module 1 probably doesn't need to be as intense as we make it. You know, we probably I definitely went into the history way too much.
Yeah.
I found it interesting. But I was thinking, oh my God, are they all going to take this long?
And they don't. And it's really not, it's good to know that.
Yeah.
Well, I can give you a good tip. If you go on Google and you copy and paste out what you think you want to write and put it in your own words, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. But it's a bit easier to read it from someone else and then put it in your own words. That's it.
Yeah, do make sure you do put it in your own words though.
Yeah.
But
you can actually, you know, you can copy and paste it out and read it and then push it into what you understand in the history, and that's it. It makes it a lot easier.
Okay. So any other questions? You're feeling a little bit easier about getting started? I mean, how many of you have started? I mean, obviously, so you've started, Paula. So where are you on the modules at the moment?
I'm halfway through module 1. I've got stuck on the history.
Okay.
It's really interesting, and I've already written like 3 or 4 things, and they're like over 1,000 words because I go really into it. So it's having to get the key points and then put it in. But the rest of it I find quite easy and fascinating. So that's all right. For me, it's just the essay.
Yeah. Well, I assured you it won't be all like that.
I'm looking forward to that, believe me. But I've got a lot of things on at the moment, so I'm trying to get my backlog of work done, because I know I have actually put aside 2 days for coursework and any practice I want to do with people. But I can't do that just yet. As soon as I've done it, and I've got to do 40 case studies for something else for accreditation, so I've nearly finished that. I've got to write them up, and then this will be it then. I can fully get on with it.
Yeah, that's good you've made a start. So what about you, Jess? Have you made a start yet? We can't hear you, Jess. Oh, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted you when you're having a conversation.
Sorry. No, I've done quite a lot of 1. Like I've done the history and that, but I just didn't know if you're supposed to do the, you know, that library model and stuff, the pyramid by hand.
Doesn't really matter. However it works for you, really. I think I did it by hand and then just scanned it in.
Scanned it, yeah. I don't know how to. do that on, I don't, you know, I'm
Just-
not sure how to
Just
do all that on
a
the computer.
photograph of it, if that's easy. If you-
Okay, so I can do that by hand then, yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's all about it's just showing you'd understand how to do
Mm.
that and how you'd understand how to explain that. So don't worry if it's not a great drawing or anything like that. That really isn't important.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, well,
Okay.
hopefully that, I mean, it's mainly really, isn't it, for Paula and Jess, just as when Claire, sorry, down the bottom, it's just to put your mind at rest, really, that you don't have to race through it, you know, do it at your own pace, and that it doesn't have to be sort of PhD or sort of university standard. It is really just about showing your understanding of what you're doing, and that you could actually do it. You could, you know, and I think as you're working through the modules now, because you're doing so much practice and you've got so far, it's actually going to be much easier than you think. You know, you realize you know so much more than you think.
I'm so glad that Ruth said that 1 and 15 are much longer. Because I've started researching about the history, like, you know, Barbara did, looking on different hypnotherapy websites and things like that. And it's just fascinating, but it's actually getting it all in there and then summarizing it, isn't it?
You're never going to have to tell a client the whole history of hypnosis. So, you know, bear that in mind. It's for your own understanding and interest and just the foundation of it all, really. So maybe don't put too much importance on it, really. It's important to do it, but it is difficult to be succinct with something like that when there's so much, isn't there?
Yeah.
Claire, I got somebody to, I did a hypnosis on procrastination for my coursework.
All right.
And the next day I I did about most of my module 1.
Wow.
That was really good. Well done.
That's a very good
So
tip. Thank
That's
you.
an idea.
Yes.
You'll all be wanting that now. Okay. Well, I mean, if nobody's got any more questions, I mean, as I said, it was really just if anybody was floundering at all or just wanted to get started and needed some tips, it was really just an opportunity for you all to just be here, and for people like Rue and Celia and Barbara to just encourage you, really, that it's not as bad as you think, you know. And as I said, I think as soon as you send your first one off to a vet, you'll realise how helpful she is, and you can't go wrong, really.
No, you can't.
Just follow her instructions and her feedback, and you'll be fine. And Heather and I are here to ask questions as well in relation to the content. So you've got everything you need.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks
very
guys for your time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the benefit
No
of all
problem.
Thanks for
your
your
knowledge.
time.
Cheers.
Okay, let you all
See you
go.
see you on Monday.
See you Monday. Well, I won't see you.
Bye.
I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.